So here I am back with this exploration into mess and marks and color, and I'm going to start off by bringing in a little bit of space. So I've gone for a very light pink just to clear some space. There's so much going on. I want to bring some lightness into the palette, into the painting. And so rather than doing this with white, I never really come back over with pure white, but I come back over with a nearly white. And I just create a little bits of open space so I can see into the painting a bit clearer through all of the marks and all of the mess. The painting's very, very dry. Obviously, I left it and let it really dry so that whatever I put on top of it now will sit as another layer. It's not going to interact with what's underneath. So it allows me to really come over with all sorts of different things. If I clear the way with with an opaque color, then I can come over with some transparent colors. I often get asked about working with transparents as in layers, and the transparent paints will work really beautifully, but it's often a good idea to create some areas of lightness underneath them so you can really see them. So I often do this. I often go tonal, so I've created a light pink. Now I've used some of that light pink and I've put more into it so that it just gets a little bit darker, but it's really speaking to the light pink underneath it. So quite often I will work with the same pots and I'll just change them slightly, but they'll have the same underlying color so that they're not a whole lot different from each other. So all of these colors are developed from the same base. I'm just adding more flavor. I think painting is a bit like cooking sometimes. You can really develop the flavor of a piece by keeping it going and doing layer upon layer. And over time, it gets so much more flavorful. So when I've been working up large and doing large marks, sometimes I'll come in with a much finer brush and just get some smaller stories in there. I just want to get my focus smaller than always being really big. So I'm mirroring a lot of the marks that I've already got there, but I'm just doing smaller versions of them. That way they all speak to each other. It's like the macro and the micro. I often think that the larger world just mirrors what our smaller worlds are. So as above, so below, as within, so without. And my paintings intentionally have that feeling for me. What I do big, I also do small. What I do small, I mirror up big. It's all the same. Now I've got a lot of mid-tones happening now that I've come over this piece with a lot of colours. So now I've gone into a very dark greeny brown colour just to bring some more form, just to bring something that pops a little bit more into the composition. And I do this with my dark colours as I do with my light colours. I use a base and then I develop that base in a few different ways. So if you can see when I'm rubbing that colour, you can really see that there's a green base underneath that. And I will also develop that into more of a brown and different shades of green so that it brings a little bit more depth to the darker colours than just going straight black. Yeah, I think you'll find that I've put a little bit more brown into this one, or I've added more depth to it, more black to it. I'm not really thinking composition here, and yet I'm going harder on dark colours in some areas, so the composition is starting to appear. I think it's just an intuitive thing to work across the piece in this way. I'm bringing similar shapes there over on the right hand side, but they're lighter, not as much of them, so that they speak to each other, but they're not the same. I do have music going on in the background, which is good. It keeps you out of your head if you've got something else to concentrate on. So I'm often listening to podcasts, or I'm listening to music, or I sometimes even chat on the phone to people as I'm painting. Just gets that part of my brain away so that I can just paint freely without my thinking brain. And I'm loving that pop of bright green. So here I am putting a lot more green onto the painting. But they speak to, there's lots of different types of green on this painting now. So it makes it a lot more interesting, more complex. There might be a stage where I simplify, but I'm nowhere near the simplifying stage yet. I'm really wanting to explore, play, make mess, have fun, try out new shapes, and not care. Not care. It's a big one. I'm not trying to get this painting anywhere at this point. And in not caring whether it gets anywhere, I often find it does. But if I try and get it somewhere, then I often find it doesn't go anywhere. So if I can offer any suggestion, it's to you, it's to stop trying to be somewhere where you're not. Just respond to what's in front of you. Respond one mark at a time, one colour at a time. This is abstract expressionism for me. I'm painting as I feel. I'm painting what I feel. It's an expression of what's going on the inside of me, on the outside. So again, I've gone quite small with a smaller brush, just bringing in some smaller details with quite a transparent green. That would have a fair amount of green gold in it. And here's another brown. It's a bit more of a mid-brown, but it's a lovely, almost a goldy colour again. I do love my golds. It's very, very nice nature feeling, and it works beautifully with the pinks that I paint a lot with. So I'll try and put a little bit of that across the whole painting to bring in cohesion across the piece. I can keep a big piece of work like this going for quite a while. I don't want to get anywhere too soon. I want to have fun with it. And it may go in all kinds of different directions as yet. I love the way that that brown colour is popping with all the light pinks. And these little brushes can get some really nice marks. Just having a variety of different size brushes and different tools can really help to get different things going on a piece. Just bringing back some of the darker contrasting colours now. Getting some shapes, defining some of the shapes that I've been painting over, keeping the different values across the piece. Again, that's not black. It's one of my dark colours that I've added black to. And it's quite a solid colour. And it's good to get some of that happening so that I can come back over the top, and that does give it this depth. Before I finish up this painting session, I want to kind of take it in a direction so that I can have a break and let it dry, and then decide what's my next move. So I hope you'll join me for the next painting session on this exploration into mud and mess. I'll see you soon.